Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Annette Mills, and on behalf of the steering committee of the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition, I'd like to welcome you to our annual meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. The mission of the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition is to promote an ecologically, socially, and economically healthy city and county. We focus on the future, envisioning the world that we would like to see, and take action toward that vision in the present. But living more sustainably also requires us to think holistically and long-term, not just looking forward to the future, but to recognize on whose ancestral lands we reside. And so we'd like to begin by acknowledging and honoring that we reside in Champinafu, the ancestral area of the Ampinafu Kalapuya people, who have stewarded this land throughout hundreds of generations. Today, Kalapuya people are members of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde and Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians Community of Oregon. Colonization has shaped the reality of everyone here today. We take this opportunity to acknowledge that fact and to express our desire to be part of the much-needed process of learning about our ancestry and repairing relationships with Kalapuya people, Champinafu land, and Champinafu waters as an investment in the generations to come. Every year since 2008, we have held an annual meeting to celebrate the year's accomplishments. In pre-pandemic times, we gathered in the main meeting room of the public library to enjoy each other's company and to partake of delicious snacks provided by our annual meeting sponsor, First Alternative Co-op. Again this year, the co-op has made a generous sponsorship donation. The first 150 people who registered and are attending today's gathering will be entered in a drawing for a $100 gift card to the co-op, and there will be 3 lucky winners. We'd like to express a huge thank you to First Alternative Co-op for their generous sponsorship. Before we begin our program, I'd like to introduce the coalition's leadership team. There are currently 10 community members who serve on our steering committee, whose role it is to guide the organization, setting policy, developing strategy, and overseeing finances. Steering committee members also serve as liaisons to our 12 action teams and as members of our operating committees. In addition, we have a city council liaison who attends our monthly meetings and keeps us updated on council action. The Sustainability Coalition has 357 partner organizations. At this time in our annual meeting, we would typically go around the room and have representatives of our partner organizations introduce themselves. But since that's not possible, I would just like to say thank you to all of our partner organization representatives who are participating in today's event. Your presence matters. You serve as an important link to others in our community. And we're happy to support you through co-sponsorship of events and projects, our monthly events calendar, online resources like our Google Groups, Facebook, and website, as well as your inclusion in our community scrapbook. And now for our program. There are 4 parts to today's program. The bulk of our time will be focused on 2022 highlights from our action teams. We'll recognize our supporters and donors, then tell you a bit about what's planned for 2023, and finish by giving you a chance to ask questions. I am sure that by now you are all very familiar with Zoom and have participated in many online meetings and webinars, but we'd like to offer a couple of tips for today's event. Click on View, which is usually at the top right of your Zoom window, and choose Side-by-Side Gallery. If you have a question for one of our presenters, click on the Q&A icon at the bottom of your Zoom window and type your question and then just hit Enter. And now for our program. The Corvallis Sustainability Coalition is primarily a volunteer organization. In 2022, our hardworking volunteers continued to move forward, and some have even initiated new projects. To guide their work, our action teams use Community Sustainability, a framework for action, a document that was developed with broad community input. Using this framework for action, our action teams have been working on dozens of different projects, and we'll be hearing about some of those projects now. The first presenter is Jeanette Hardison, who co-leads our Waste Prevention Action Team. Jeanette?
Thank you, Annette. Yeah, I'm Jeanette. I co-lead the Waste Prevention Action Team with Dawn Marie Gade. And the vision of our action team is a waste-free community, fostering behaviors to reduce consumption of material goods. Our goals are to increase recycling, reduce landfill-bound trash, and to increase proper hazardous waste disposal. To meet these goals, our team has developed and launched multiple projects. Next slide. Next slide. In the Recycling Block Captains program, Corvallis residents adopt one or more neighborhoods and distribute waste prevention information to them up to 3 times a year. Next slide, please. Each block captain decides the size and geographical location to adopt and where they might also want to share the information online. In 2022, with support from Republic Services, our program developed and distributed 2 handouts that focused on the basics of curbside recycling and composting in the tan and gray carts. Both handouts included an online quiz with a prize drawing to First Alternative Co-op. Handouts are provided in printed and digital formats and downloadable at the link below or on our coalition website. This map shows current block captain neighborhoods. There's still some unmarked areas. Are you our next neighborhood block captain? Let us know. Get in touch with the link below. Another big program of ours is No Food Left Behind. This campaign continued to teach the how and why to prevent wasted food at home. We employed many different outreach techniques, including via Zoom. In 2022, thousands of smart strategies in English and Spanish were distributed in person and through social media and emails. We also distributed hundreds of pails to get inedible food scraps, slide, from kitchen to compost, instead of from lunch to landfill. Slide. Pails are still available. Come see us at the Winter Farmers Market every other week. In 2022, we saw many hundreds of visitors this way. We gave online presentations to Corvallis High School Green Club students and Zonta International Corvallis chapter members, and in person to the staff and faculty at Crescent Valley High School. No Food Left Behind enjoyed coverage on the Gazette Times front page once again, and we were included in Republic Services residential customer newsletter distributed all over town. We also continued our Kitchen Confessions blog, got involved with National Food Waste Prevention Week efforts, which we are doing again this year, so watch for that in April 10 to 16. And most notably, we launched a community effort to promote our 3 video versions of our popular in-school presentation, Food Too Good to Waste. We held a video premiere in November, our first public viewing of the video series. Eco-edutainer Sherston Helene led the audience on a seed to plate activity and engaged them in original songs and chants about not wasting food. Members of the Corvallis High School Green Team, back please, helped fill the snack table with local foods from Midway Farms and Gathering Together Farm, including turnip top pesto, seen here. You can find these short fun videos on our website, nofoodleftbehindcorvallis.org/videos. In 2022, the Waste Prevention Action Team introduced a new program, Benton to Go. After years of coalition volunteer research into viable options for reusable takeout containers, this team of folks seen here collaborated to plan a program for this area. Thank you, Ants on a Log, for being the catalyst for Benton to Go. Finally, in August, Benton to Go was launched with financial support from Benton County, Republic Services, and Corvallis Odd Fellows. And we launched with the mantra, take out, rinse, return. Simply buy a container, take out food, clean it at home, and return it for either another sanitized container or a voucher, seen here, a voucher card for later. Buy in once, use it again and again. Here are the participating Benton to Go restaurants. The launch of Benton to Go was splashed across the community with coverage in print, social media, on city buses, in radio PSAs, on television, which made it into the Yahoo News feed, and of course in person at the participating restaurants. A shout out here to First Alternative Co-op for their marketing support. We look forward to assessing Benton to Go's pilot phase and making adjustments. Our team's Corvallis Area Reuse Directory continued in print and online. Printed copies are still available in drop-off locations all around town. And you can download a copy at the link shown here. In print, the directory is a matrix of reusable items most often generated by households, matched up with local places that accept them for reuse. Here's how it would work if you had art supplies to donate. You just find the item, next slide, and then scan across that row for locations that accept them. It's that simple. But remember, please call ahead always for the locations before you bring reusables, just in case something has changed. In the interactive online version in 2022, we successfully updated this. So it is the most updated information for our area. And the online version is called the Waste Prevention Directory because it goes beyond reuse. It also includes repair opportunities. Just click the repair tab. Slide. And next slide. As always, we thank our generous printing sponsors and the funder of our online version, Oregon Department of Environmental Quality. A couple other team efforts include our Corvallis Albany Zero Waste group on Facebook, which continued to grow, now over 850 members. And the prescription bottle reuse program, which unfortunately is still on hold until COVID restrictions have eased. Prescription bottles are still not recyclable or curbside, but they are absolutely reusable, and we encourage folks to find other uses for this sturdy, ubiquitous waste. Get involved. Does waste prevention resonate with you? There's several ways to join us. You can adopt a block. Slide. Only takes a couple hours a few times a year, but it has a big impact. You can buy your Benton to go container and reduce your takeout waste. And we encourage you and your family to watch the No Food Left Behind videos to waste less food and save money. And lastly, you can join us monthly on Zoom for updates on these projects and to explore new ideas for preventing waste in our community. Our meetings are recorded for future playback, and here are the dates for the next 3 meetings led by our team co-leader, Ms. Dawn Marie Gade. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. A lot of exciting projects there. Our next speaker is Johanna Hamilton, who leads our Community Inclusion Action Team.
Hi.
Hi, Johanna.
So the vision for our community is that all people of Corvallis have a sense of belonging, they're treated justly, have a sense of connection, and are represented in the community. This past year, we completed the process of introducing all of the coalition's action teams to the Equity Impact Assessment, which is a tool that we're using to evaluate projects through an equity lens. So our primary project in 2022 was working with the Natural Areas Action Team to initiate a new project called Neighborhood Roots. Our goal is to bring together neighbors to plant trees in their neighborhoods to address both climate justice and climate change. So climate justice is basically just understanding the connection between climate justice and planting trees begins with understanding heat islands, which are areas of the community that are warmer than other areas because they have a lot of pavement, but fewer trees that offer shade. And even in Western Oregon, extreme temperatures in the summer can mean the difference between life and death. Neighborhoods with fewer trees make them more susceptible to the heat island effect, and adding trees will make it cooler and more livable. We selected the Ryan Street neighborhood in South Corvallis as the site of our Neighborhood Roots pilot project for our neighborhood outreach. A longtime coalition supporter who lives in the neighborhood agreed to help us with outreach to his neighbors. And in August, our volunteers knocked on doors and delivered flyers, inviting residents to participate in the program. And the back of the flyer listed 4 species of native trees we're offering to plant in front yards, and 8 residents ended up requesting a tree. So we had a planting party, and we scheduled the neighborhood planting party for November, since late fall is the best time to plant trees in the Willamette Valley. Our volunteers went door to door, handing out flyers to invite all the neighbors to participate. Day before the event, the neighborhood coordinator posted signs at the entrance to the street and reminded neighbors about this opportunity. So the afternoon of the event, we loaded up the trees that we had purchased from Seven Oaks Native Nursery and delivered them along with bags of soil, amendment, and mulch to the 8 yards where they would be planted. We're planting Oregon white oak. And here's a group, including the homeowner, neighbors, and one of our volunteers planting the Oregon white oak. And here's our neighborhood coordinator who helped plant a big leaf maple in one of his neighbor's yards, doing the mulching. And then here's one of our natural areas action team volunteers who worked with the homeowner to plant a vine maple. And then we invited everyone to join us for hot apple cider and donuts after all the trees have been planted. In December, volunteers from both teams met to talk about the results of our first effort and to make plans for 2023. And if you'd like to be part of this project, please let us know. We also wanted to mention that the Community Inclusion Action Team is a co-sponsor of the annual Champ and Nephew lecture series. This series features topics and presenters that are selected by the Confederate Tribes of the Grand Ronde. And the 3 lectures that were presented last fall were focused on Kalapuya placekeeping. And pictured here is Shawala, who is perhaps the most influential Kalapuya from Champ-and-Nephew, which is the area we now call Corvallis. So we hope you'll consider joining the Community Inclusion Action Team. If you're interested, please sign on to our Google group so we can receive announcements about our activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Johanna. Thank you. So the vision for energy is Corvallis has achieved energy security and net zero greenhouse gas emissions. The goals are reduce energy consumption in buildings using energy efficiency and conservation, achieve 100% renewable energy, and no net greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. We have 4 work groups that are working towards our vision and our goals. The first is Solarize Corvallis. The goal of this partnership between the coalition and the Oregon Clean Power Co-op is to accelerate the transition to solar power by putting large-scale solar systems at schools, nonprofits, government buildings, businesses, and faith communities. Oregon Clean Power Co-op allows community members to directly invest $1,000 per share in our solar infrastructure for disaster preparedness and the impacts of climate change. Just for a little bit of an overview of what we've done so far, in 2020, we used community investment and community donations to help fund 3 major solar projects at the Corvallis School District Office, at the Old Mill Center for Children and Families, and at Benton County's Kalapuya building on Research Way. In 2021, we added 3 more projects at Corvallis High School, at the First United Methodist Church, and at Block 15's Tap Room and Brewery. This past year, we added 2 more Solarize Corvallis projects, 3rd Street Commons, owned by Corvallis Housing First, and Linus Pauling Middle School. We also raised enough funding to install solar projects at Sheldon Middle School and Franklin K-8 School, which are due to be completed this year. And I'm really happy to announce that our next project will be to cover the roof of the Lynn Benton Food Share Facility in Tangent. And we do have additional projects in the works for 2023, so stay tuned. A second Energy Action Team work group has focused on educating residents, elected officials, and realtors about Home Energy Score. In 2022, we sponsored a webinar for the general public that included the basics about Home Energy Score programs. A home energy score starts with an inspection to evaluate a home's energy efficiency, similar to an Energy Star rating for appliances or miles per gallon stickers for cars. Home energy scores have been voluntary in Oregon for more than 10 years. The findings are for information only, with no upgrades required. A key message is that home energy score programs address both climate change and equity. It's a consumer protection program, so prospective owners know what their energy bills will look like. In the Corvallis Climate Action Plan, home energy scores are one of the highest priority strategies. So the Climate Action Advisory Board of the city carried this item forward to City Council in 2022. However, last month, the City Council voted 5-4 to oppose the proposed home energy score ordinance. The new council may reconsider this program at a future time. The Energy Action Team's third work group focused on residential energy efficiency. Members of this work group are motivated by concerns about climate change and the desire to help people create more comfortable, lower cost housing that is also more energy efficient. 75% of energy use in our homes is typically from heating, water heating, cooling, and lighting. One of our volunteers is a retired architect, and she has created home retrofit clinics to assist local homeowners in making their homes more energy efficient. She offers 2-hour Zoom consultations with individual homeowners, focusing on their home's energy use and helping them chart a path that moves away from the use of fossil fuels. During the past 2 years, nearly 100 retrofit clinics have been completed. This work group also includes representatives of Seeds for the Soul, a local nonprofit that enables low and middle income residents to afford energy upgrades. Seeds for the Soul offers zero-interest loans to help homeowners put solar on their homes. The loans are repaid using money saved on the home's energy bills, so there is no impact on the homeowner's monthly budget. In partnership with Energy Trust of Oregon, Seeds for the Soul staff provided 22 home energy assessments, resulting in 13 homes going solar, 2 homes acquiring heat pump water heaters, and 4 homes adding insulation. Their community partner funding relationship with Energy Trust of Oregon is going to cover all of their office management needs up to $40,000, so that all funds that are donated to Seeds for the Soul will go to energy efficiency projects starting this year. They also made climate change and energy efficiency 101 presentations in 15 different settings, and will keep track of new Inflation Recovery Act incentives, as well as the state's heat pump climate resilience incentives as they roll out. And they're going to keep us apprised of what the opportunities are for all of us. Our team's fourth work group tracks state government climate actions and opportunities that impact us locally. That work group also coordinates a statewide grassroots climate action network made up of volunteer groups from Oregon communities that address climate change. In 2022, we arranged for 2 meetings of the network to hear presentations about electrification. The first presentation was about the coalition's home retrofit clinics, and the second was about helping local communities in Oregon make the transition away from fossil fuels. This year, the Energy Action Team is helping to organize a major new energy initiative that will be unveiled at this year's Sustainability Town Hall. The Energy Action Team meets quarterly, with our work groups meeting in the intervening months. And the next quarterly meeting of the Energy Action Team will be in March, and we welcome new members to join us. So I would like to welcome our next speaker, Rachel Kirby, who leads the Education Action Team. Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel Kirby, and I head up the Education Action Team. And our vision is that all community members are lifelong learners who model environmental, social, and economic sustainability in their daily lives. Members of the Education Action Team help support school stewards. These are mainly teachers, and they lead the green teams at each of our public schools. Like many of the coalition teams, the Education Team was brought to a standstill during the COVID outbreak, and we are making efforts to get all our green teams up and rolling again. Examples of some of our activities in the last year include working with students from Adams Elementary School Gardening Club as they harvested tomatoes and made apple springs. At Crescent Valley High School, the Students for Environmental Action Club has been busy this year fixing up a greenhouse and starting to grow their own food. Their main goal is to grow food to donate to local food banks. On Earth Day, students from the region's K through 12 schools ended their procession of the species parade at a sustainable solutions event for families in downtown Corvallis. The Education Action Team offered hands-on learning activities, including the upcycling of toilet paper tubes to make bird binoculars. We gave them handouts about birds with games and fun facts to encourage closer attention to birds and the natural world. We are currently working to create a district-wide curriculum for environmentalism for the next school year. We usually meet on the third Tuesday of each month at New Morning Bakery at noon. Please contact me at this address if you'd like to receive announcements about our meetings and activities or join our team. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And let's see, next, it's my turn again. Our community vision for economic vitality is Corvallis is home to a vibrant, diverse, and sustainable economy anchored by a broad spectrum of local, environmentally friendly businesses. The first goal toward that vision is supporting the local economy through buying, investing, and/or producing locally. We've been pursuing that campaign. The second economic vitality goal is using sustainable practices at workplaces. To move toward that goal, we offer a program called Saving Green, in which our part-time sustainability outreach specialist, Jeanette Hardison, provides free assistance to Corvallis businesses and nonprofits that want to decrease their environmental footprint and decrease their operating costs. Jeanette does on-site assessments for small and medium-sized workplaces to help them increase their energy and water efficiency, reduce their waste, and save money in the process. Although there was a pause on in-person work during 2020 and 2021, Jeanette resumed on-site assessments and follow-ups in 2022. She works closely with Energy Trust of Oregon, and that partnership is resulting in bringing no-cost and low-cost LED lighting upgrades to several Corvallis workplaces in 2023. Goal number 3 for economic vitality is engaging in community networks to help people meet their needs while minimizing resource consumption. To pursue that goal, we launched a new program in 2022 called Third Thursday. It's a collaboration among 3 groups: Corvallis Arts Walk, our Economic Vitality Action Team, and our Food Action Team. The goal of the Third Thursday program is to establish Corvallis as a destination for local arts and entertainment, for local food, and for local shopping. By highlighting our rich local arts community, as well as the artistry of our local chefs, our local food producers, and our local business owners, organizers of this new event aim to showcase and celebrate the creative talents that are offered by our community. And it just so happens that today is Third Thursday. So we would like to invite everyone to head downtown later today between 4 and 8 p.m. to enjoy all that today's Third Thursday has to offer. There will be 7 venues where a variety of artists will be showing their work. Grassroots Books and Music will be open to offer the latest good reads, and Heartland Humane Society Thrift Shop is offering 50% off all clothing. Bellhop is tonight's featured restaurant, and their locally sourced special is deep fried Brussels sprouts with Parmesan and vinaigrette. Yum, sounds great. Printed and online maps to the third Thursday venues will be available at each of the participating locations, as well as on the Corvallis Arts Walk website. We really hope that you'll be part of this hyper-local event. The Economic Vitality Action Team is always looking for new members. Our third Thursday group meets pretty regularly, at least once a month, and the team as a whole meets quarterly. So we hope you'll join us. Our next speaker is Dave Eckert, who leads our Water Action Team. David?
Thank you, Annette. Okay, the Water Action Team focuses on regenerating creeks and wetlands, particularly the hydrological, ecological, and cultural functionality of those creeks and wetlands. We work on a seasonal round of activities through winter, spring, summer, and fall, round and around every year. Our projects are long-term. They're not 1 year, they are many years that we work on them. Next. We have many collaborators, and we never do a project on our own. We are always collaborating with somebody. And so note these collaborators. I will not be noting them as we go through some of the projects, but most of these are on them. Our local funding, all of our funding is local. We don't apply for grants from afar. We get them directly from the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition. We get them from individual local donors and from local collaborators who I just showed you before. Sometimes it's direct funding, sometimes it's in kind. We provide outdoor social nutrition to our team members. We have 140 team members that we get outdoors with on a weekly basis. And we have had 175 student interns or volunteers over the past year. And we provide everybody with a sense of accomplishment. When you come out and work with the action team, you accomplish something every single time you come out. There are no meetings. Thank you. And we make everything we do culturally relevant. First, culturally relevant to the on Pinafu Kalapuya of Champinafu. Secondly, to the whole culture of Corvallis, to every resident and visitor. We want it to be culturally relevant, what we do. We also want it to be culturally relevant to all the participants in our local ecology, with a special favor toward the beaver. In 2022, we had 13 project sites. 7 of them were on city-owned land, 4 were on school-owned land, and 2 were other property owners. Our biggest project has been, is, and will continue to be the Dennewy Creek Regeneration Project over at the Bald Hill Natural Area, where we've been working on since 2016, trying to restore, regenerate, bring back to life a creek that was buried over 100 years ago by some Corvallis residents, and the hydrology ruined. We are working diligently, doing many things. You can see this display out at our site. You're walking on the multimodal path at Bald Hill, you can see it, and put your phone up to the QR code and learn more. And here's what it looks like. You too can come out and work in this just gorgeous setting, watching the harrier hawk and the coyote and the wonderful fauna that come out to this site with us. And it is located at Bald Hill. You can see on the display here, look, the star at the lower right, where it's located in the Dennewy Creek watershed. Now we turn to the Starker Arts Park. This is also in the Dennewy Creek watershed, and it's a place most of you have walked by when you go by the duck pond. It was up until 2019. It was a dried up, hydrologically functionless weed patch. And we turned it in 3 years into a functional wetland with a display of all kinds of native plants, specifically shrubs along the path and wetland plants in the interior. Next. And you can see the functionality there. It is now complex and highly ecologically functioning. And we are really working hard at bringing back all the fauna that belong there, and for the ecology and for the enjoyment of everyone around. Now we move to Lamprey Creek, a creek that was named for the first time in 2015. And we've been working particularly in the MLK, Dr. MLK Jr. Park since 2015 when the naming went in place. This is the part that most people know, and we have been having a site every year that we work on. And you can see we put in native trees, native shrubs, native perennials to regenerate an area along the stream that was turf, just mowed grass right up to the edge of the stream. And you can see our site that we worked on in 2022 at the lower part of the screen. And we're really trying to help this part of the stream a mile down by working upstream first. And this is the most beaver prolific community in Corvallis. It is a wonderful, wonderful place to be and a wonderful place to see. And it's an incredible example. It was not like this in 2015. I can guarantee that. We also work on Jackson Creek, and that is what feeds the Jackson Fraser wetland. And we work primarily at the Corvallis, at the Crescent Valley High School schoolyard. And you can see what it looked like right next to Jackson Creek in 2010, what it's looking like now. And it's quite a showcase, and it's an ecological turnaround from what it was in 2010. Now, if you go on YouTube, you can see a webinar we put on this past year about you just go on YouTube and type in South Corvallis Greenway proposal, it'll come up. And it's a long-term project, maybe decades. And if we're starting out we started out this year, but we made an agreement with OSU, School of Civil Engineering. They will be doing a hydrological study of a portion of the mill race. You can see in the red, whatever rectangle that is called on the right. And that will be the first big step toward this program. We made a short video, Dammed Oak Creek, showing the removal of a human-built dam that happened back in 2008, and a beaver-built dam that is almost 7 feet tall and 50 feet long that was built just 3 years ago by beaver, along with 9 other adjoining dams on Lamprey Creek, which is a tributary of Oak Creek. And this tells why the human-built dams aren't so good and the beaver-built dams are great for the whole ecology. You can just go on vimeo.com and search for Dammed Oak Creek and watch the 9-minute video starring 2 rock stars from Corvallis. And I hope you go see it. We have also made arrangements to increase our numbers of interpretive displays of watersheds around town with the Congregational Church on West Hills Road. We designed and printed a display for them, which they'll be installing next month. And for the Audubon Society, Hesthaven Nature Center on Oak Creek, on their property, they have Oak Creek. And so we designed and printed a sign for them that they'll install next month also about Oak Creek. We also printed up t-shirts to honor the beaver that inhabit our creeks, and it's called Beavallis t-shirt. And we sold many of those to raise funds so we can plant more willow and other plants that the beaver love. So join the action team. There are no meetings You will get weekly updates by email of what our schedule is of events and activities, our outdoor activities, and our special member-only activities, hiking and exploring special places around Corvallis, and you get immediate results from your work. Our next work party is Saturday, January 28th at Bald Hill Natural Area, and that's a lot of fun. And so if you want to join, and the action team, that's the only way you'll get information about what we do, is to join and to contact me and at deckert@willamettewatershed.com. Hope to see you outside.
Thank you so much, David. Your team's been mighty busy. So our next speaker is Jane Barth, who is a member of our housing action team. Welcome, Jane.
Hello, everyone. So the community vision for housing is that all residents have access to affordable housing options, and also that housing is energy efficient, provides a healthy living environment, and reduces waste through recycling and preservation. All new construction minimizes impacts on our resources and environment. It's also part of the mission. The Housing Action Team has worked on microshelters since I've been involved. Microshelters provide one form of transitional housing for our community members who are unhoused. The first microshelters in Corvallis were constructed in 2019 under the auspices of the Housing Action Team. And between 2019 and 2021, our team raised more than $94,000 to support the construction of microshelters, and later to support Safe Camp and Safe Place, which are managed by Unity Shelter as the locations for where microshelters are. Unity Shelter is a local nonprofit that provides transitional housing and emergency shelter. Last June, our team partnered with Unity Shelter to present a webinar focused on the Safe Place microshelter program. During the program, Portland State University professor Lisa Hawash presented an assessment of the Safe Place program. Her presentation included valuable demographic data and feedback from Safe Place clients who were interviewed about their experience. A newer project we're working on over the past year focuses on home sharing. One of our team members is developing her home as a model of home sharing. She wants to learn from her experience and help support other Corvallis homeowners to consider sharing their home with community members who are facing housing insecurity. As part of this new program, we've established a formal relationship with Home Share Oregon. Both the Housing Action Team and Home Share Oregon want to increase housing opportunities in Corvallis and Benton County by normalizing the concept of home sharing. It used to be common for people to share their homes, and we'd like to see home sharing become an important part of the solution to the affordable housing crisis here. To learn more, we encourage you to go to the Home Share Oregon website. One of the most important functions of the Housing Action Team is the networking we do each month. Several of our team members represent local organizations, so it's a great place to share information about what's happening locally in the world of housing and to ask for support for your organization. If you're interested in exploring solutions and taking action on homelessness or affordable housing or energy efficient housing, we hope you'll join us. The team currently meets online the second Monday of each month at 12 noon for about an hour. To sign up and receive meeting announcements, please contact our facilitator, Debbie Freelander, who co-leads the Housing Action Team. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Appreciate it. So the vision for the natural areas section of the action framework is our natural features, hillsides, floodplains, streams, wetlands, and other open spaces in natural areas are protected and treasured. One of the goals toward that vision is to increase acreage of protected natural habitat. And toward that end, the Natural Areas Action Team led the way several years ago to have Benton County become the first and only, as far as we know, community wildlife habitat certified in Oregon. We continue to encourage community members and groups to have their properties qualified to be certified through the National Wildlife Federation. You can learn how to do that by going to their website. Another goal is to expand the number of community members participating in natural areas appreciation programs or restoration efforts. So for the past 13 years, the team has organized Natural Areas Celebration Week, which features family-friendly free events that are sponsored by multiple local organizations during the first week of May. The first 2 years of the pandemic, many of the events were virtual, but in 2022, Natural Areas Celebration Week included many outdoor events. Last year's events highlighted activities being offered by 11 different groups. Activities such as special talks, tours, walks, work parties, and more. We anticipate that there will be even more offerings at this year's Natural Areas Celebration Week, so please mark your calendar for the first week of May and watch for details through the Coalition's website and social media. We'd love to expand our Natural Areas Action Team, so we hope you'll join us. Join our Google group, and that way you'll stay up to date on our activities. Thanks. Our next speaker is Kelsey Johnson, who co-leads the Coalition's Food Action Team. Kelsey?
Hi, thanks for the introduction. I am the co-leader with Lisa Tuttle, and the Food Action Team works towards a vision where we are primarily fed by food which is locally produced, using practices that renew and enrich the land and community. The Food Action Team works towards the 3 goals listed here and has 7 actions underway. I'll provide some highlights from the past year for each of these 7 actions. As Annette mentioned already, we partnered with the Economic Vitality Action Team this year, along with the Corvallis Arts Walk and local businesses, to host the monthly Third Thursday event. And just a reminder, this today actually is the next Third Thursday event from 4 to 8 p.m. downtown. Hope to see you there. We also hosted the first edible garden tour since COVID. We estimated that we had over 400 people that toured 5 gardens and gained inspiration for their own edible landscapes. And we just had a lot of fun with this event. It was really great to get it back on the calendar. This was one of our highlights of the year. The Public Seed Library is a new collaborative project of the Benton County Master Gardeners, the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition, and the Corvallis Public Library. This free volunteer-led project aims to provide seeds and knowledge for the whole community to support home gardening and local food consumption. The Seed Library is expected to open at the Corvallis Public Library by March 2023. Next up, we have Cooks and Books. This is a partnership between the Public Library, the Corvallis Community Center, and the Sustainability Coalition. This is a book club for cooks. Each quarter, a new cookbook is selected and a cooking demonstration at the community center is put on by a local chef. The next Cooks and Books is on Thursday, January 26th. It's always hosted at the Corvallis Community Center. The Food Action Team also works on the Garden Resource Guide. And this cannot be done without our wonderful sponsors. We update this resource guide every year, and it has everything you ever wanted to know about gardening in Benton County. Book lists, garden centers, neighborhood community gardens, preservation resources, poultry resources, and beekeeping information are all included. Get a copy at the garden centers or downtown, garden centers, or download one from the website. Each month, Food Action Team members update the NPK, or Neighborhood Planter Kiosk posters, in partnership with other local gardening groups. These little kiosks are a wonderful neighborhood source of information and add a splash of color to front lawns. This year, we received a grant from the Evening Garden Club to finish 11 kiosks. We have a new action team leader for this project, and we've installed one of the newly finished kiosks. We're always looking for additional hosts, so if you'd like to be an NPK host, please get in touch. Also, on my end, I'm getting just a little bit of feedback of myself. I hope it's not coming across to all of you. If it is, apologies.
You sound fine. We can hear you.
Okay, perfect, great. So our 7th and final project of the Food Action Team is It's on Us Corvallis, or IOU Corvallis. The mission of this project is to build community and help the economy through food. To do this, we provide funds to be spent at locally owned food businesses and the First Alternative Co-op for people to choose what food they want, where they want it, and when they want it. We partnered with a smartphone app, Kudo, to distribute gift cards. People can sign up on our website to get these gift cards, which can then be used at 58 different locations around Corvallis of all different types of cuisine: Japanese, Salvadorian, Chinese, Mexican, certified gluten-free kitchens, and farmers markets vendors. Because anybody can use Kudo to pay at locally owned restaurants, this allows people who are getting this food assistance a sense of anonymity and dignity. And it reduces the logistics required to run this volunteer program to about an hour a week, while also increasing the number of meals available. Last year, we distributed over 1,000 gift cards ranging from $10 to $50. Last year, we also focused on pivoting from small community donations to larger grants. We applied for 4 grants and got 3. We received $100,000 from the American Rescue Plan Act funding, $5,000 from Benton Community Foundation, and $11,000 from Community Grassroots Philanthropy, the power of 100 people who care. We are also so grateful for all our continued sustaining monthly donors. You are the reason we continue to do this work, so thank you. Finally, IOU Corvallis realized the power of fun. We hosted giveaway events to help promote existing local food events. We hosted a $10,000 giveaway at the Philomath Farmers Market and another one at 10 Rivers Food Web, Fill Your Pantry. Both giveaway events resulted in an increase in foot traffic, more money in the pockets of local food producers, and more local food in the bellies of our community. We also just had a blast getting into the community and meeting food producers, introducing folks to local food events like the Farmers Market and Fill Your Pantry who had never been before, and meeting folks who use IOU to feed their families local food. So if any of these projects are of interest to you or you'd like to get involved with the Food Action Team, join our Google group, come to our next monthly meeting. We always meet on the first Monday of the month at 4 p.m. And feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to have you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. Appreciate your being here. And our next speaker is Rob Upson, who is a member of the Coalition's Transportation Action Team. Rob?
Thank you, Annette. Hello, everybody. In 2022, after a 2-year hiatus, the Transportation Action Team resumed some of its regular in-person activities, including a bike fillet at September Fest, bike rack transport to several special events, and 2 electric vehicle shows. TAT also continued to highlight street renovations and multimodal street designs that improve safety for all road users and encourage sustainable, active transportation, like walking, cycling, rolling, or catching a bus. September Fest Bike Fillet was a great event. Despite the poor air quality, the bike racks were packed. TAT volunteers provided convenient, secure parking right next to the September Fest entrance. Over 200 cyclists used the service, including myself. There were 31 event volunteers. Thank you to all who took a shift or hauled the bike racks. A very special thank you to Jay Thatcher for taking the lead in organizing the event and training 2 shifts of volunteers, to Rachel Schwint for leading the bike rack hauling team, and to Wendy Byrne for repairing the TAT trailer. Volunteers also transported bike racks for Open Streets Corvallis, for the Fall Festival, for Funk in the Forest, and for the Sage Concert Series. Thanks again to Rachel for leading these bike rack hauling teams. The TAT also organized 2 electric vehicle shows in 2022, one in April for Earth Day and another in October for National Drive Electric Week. These show and tell events brought together 41 electric cars and at least 16 e-bikes and over 120 visitors. Attendees got a closer look at electric vehicles of all types and got a chance to ask owners questions. Larry Wymuth organized this event and several TAT members volunteered. And we'll have another one hopefully coming up in April. The TAT hosted 2 talks highlighting street renovations and multimodal designs. The TAT continues to promote sustainable active transportation that would make our communities safer for all road users. First, TAT hosted Dan Rosenberg, who spoke about improved safety on Oak Creek Drive using an edge lane road design. This would slow automobiles and create space for pedestrians and cyclists. In the second talk, we heard from Oregon State University team in charge of the Southwest Washington Way Improvement Project. This project will include a world-class multimodal renovation, including raised sidewalks, well-lit crossings, widened sidewalks, and Corvallis' first 2-way separated cycle track. And so thank you to both Dan and the OSU team for those presentations. And the TAT is super excited to announce an event next month on February 2nd at 7 p.m. The TAT, Mid-Valley Bike Club, and Streets Are for Everyone Corvallis, or SAFE, will be hosting a webinar entitled Great Corvallis Streets, a conversation with road designer Dan Burden. Dan Burden is a renowned urban designer with numerous awards and honors. He has 45 years of experience helping communities create livable spaces. And in 2014, the Obama White House honored him as a champion of change in transportation. Dan will be talking about how road diets can be used in Corvallis to make our 4- and 5-lane streets safer for all road users and encourage more people to use active transportation to get around town. We've provided Mr. Burden with lots of data and pictures from around Corvallis, so look for a personalized presentation. There will be a moderated Q&A at the end as well. So mark your calendars, February 2nd. Tell your friends to join us for this exciting event at 7 p.m. And the announcement and registration link will be available soon. So finally, a big thank you to Steve Starchevich for leading our TAT team. And if you would like to join us, attend our monthly meetings, become a Bike Ballet volunteer, view recorded presentations, subscribe to our Google group, get on the mailing list, all that can be found at the Coalition's website.
Thank you, Rob. 2 of our teams, Health and Human Services and Land Use, were not meeting regularly last year, but they are resuming their work this year. Our community vision for Health and Human Services is all residents enjoy a positive state of health, including physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. In the past, the team has worked on safe alternatives to hazardous cleaning products, indoor air quality, and wildfire smoke prevention and safety. The team met in November to begin to evaluate what's needed and to explore ideas for new projects. Our community vision for land use is Corvallis is a compact, resilient city with walkable neighborhoods, a vibrant downtown, and diverse natural areas interwoven in urban landscapes, whose community members actively participate in land use planning decisions. For several years, the Land Use Action Team has been focused on issues related to parking. So they met in early December to discuss the state's new climate-friendly and equitable communities requirements and determine what role the team might play locally in the implementation of those requirements. If you're interested in joining either of these teams, we would love to have you. Their next meetings are listed here, along with where to let us know if you'd like to receive announcements about either of these teams' activities. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our Action Team volunteers for their work to help us create a sustainable community. We're fortunate to have many additional volunteers who supported the work of our action teams in 2022 as members of our operating committees, as well as 3 terrific part-time staff and several hardworking contractors. The coalition doesn't have membership dues, so we rely heavily on donations from our partner organizations and individuals to support our programs, and we'd like to take a moment to recognize some of them now. Engaged partners are those who have contributed $250 or more to the coalition's general fund or endowment fund. Engaged partners are recognized on our letterhead and at major coalition events. The following individuals and organizations are our engaged partners. Our engaged partners have enabled us to grow as an organization and to expand the work of our action teams. We are extremely grateful to our engaged partners for their very generous support. And we would also like to say thank you to our monthly donors. Contributing even just a few dollars on a regular basis helps provide us with a stable source of funding. When you agree to make a monthly donation, that means we can count on you, whether you can afford $5 a month or $500 a month. Your donation makes a difference. Every contribution helps empower us to do more, to advance the creation of a sustainable community. And we would like to thank all of our donors. Donations of any amount are welcome. If you'd like to show your support for the coalition through a financial contribution, please go to our website. Another way to support the coalition is through the Bottle Drop program. You can either direct funds from your Bottle Drop account to the coalition or pick up a pre-labeled blue bag from one of our volunteers' homes and then fill and drop it off at a Bottle Drop location. There's more about this program on our website, and however you choose to contribute, we really appreciate your support. Now, looking ahead to what we have planned for 2023, I would like to introduce Aura Thomas Sargent. Aura is a student at OSU, and she's agreed to coordinate a coalition event that she's going to tell you about. Aura?
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Annette, for the introduction. Yes, I'm very excited to announce the return of the Coalition's big annual event, the Sustainability Fair and Town Hall. We have received so many requests to resume in-person events that we're going to give it a try. And our plan is also to make it a hybrid event, which I'm currently working on the logistics of. The OSU Sustainability Office is generously funding our use of the Alumni Center on the OSU campus on Thursday, March 9th. The fair will run from 5 to 7 p.m. and the town hall will be immediately after the fair from 7 to 9 p.m. The coalition's last sustainability fair was 4 years ago in 2019. So for those of you who have never attended the event, we'd like to tell you a little bit about it. Next slide, please. Beautiful. So the Sustainability Fair is a community celebration, meaning it's free and everyone is welcome. Additionally, there are typically 50 to 60 interactive booths featuring our partner organizations and action teams. A highlight of the fair is, of course, the buffet of delicious snacks provided by a local caterer and featuring as many local ingredients as possible in line with coalition values. And of course, local musicians will help create a festive atmosphere. We'd like to now give you a snapshot of what to expect by sharing a few photos from the 2019 event. Next slide, please. So friendly volunteers will welcome you into the town hall. Local students will offer you a name tag. So this is how you'll register. Next slide, please. There's a lot of people to talk to. So here are some samples. And of course, everyone will be enjoying the free food. Next slide, please. So I volunteered to coordinate this year's sustainability fair, and I invite you to also be a part of it. If you represent a coalition partner organization, or if you're one of our action team leaders, I will be sending you an invitation following the webinar to register for a booth at the fair. Additionally, if you'd like to volunteer to help and you belong to the Coalition's Google group, please watch out for a volunteer sign-up form, as we'll need a lot of volunteers to help make this happen. I look forward to seeing many of you at the fair as attendees, and I will now pass the mic back to Annette to give you a preview of the town hall.
Thank you so much, Aura. Really appreciate your willingness to volunteer to coordinate this big event.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, Annette.
So we are very excited to be planning for our first town hall since 2019. And for those of you who have never attended the Coalition's town hall, here's what happens. As the Sustainability Fair draws to a close, we begin to move into the Alumni Center ballroom. People are seated at tables of 8, and there's a discussion leader and recorder assigned to each table. During the town hall, the program moves back and forth between presentations at the front of the room and follow-up discussions at our tables. In past years, highlights of the event have included our community scrapbook, which is a slide presentation that features the accomplishments of our partner organizations during the past year. And we usually have a keynote speaker. And we always talk about action, what each of us and all of us together can do to move our community forward. Our Energy Action Team is currently working on developing a new community-wide initiative that we will be unveiling at this year's town hall. So please be watching for further details of this important event. Looking ahead, action will continue to be pivotal to the work that the Coalition does. Our volunteers will continue to work with a sense of urgency. Even as the pandemic fades, huge challenges like climate change and systemic racism will continue to drive us. Both climate action and social equity will continue to be very high priorities for us. We will continue to work with dedication, knowing that each and every one of us can be a change maker. And we will continue to work with persistence, holding our gaze on a sustainable future, having faith that if we work together, a livable planet for everyone is possible. It all adds up to action, and we would love to have you join us. We live at a time in human history when we are witness to the devastating impacts of human choices on our beautiful, precious planet. And we can choose to ignore these signs and go about our lives as though nothing has changed. Or we can seize this opportunity to be part of a great transition, to live lightly on the earth, and to work together to create a sustainable community and a sustainable world. Before we move into the Q&A portion of our program, I have an important introduction to make. Last week, we hired our 4th part-time employee, and I am very pleased to announce that Brianna Bendel is our new administrator, and we are thrilled to have her as part of our leadership team. I'll be handing over a lot of the Coalition's administrative duties to Bree, so I can spend more time doing hands-on project-based work with our action teams. Bree's 3 main areas of focus will be administration, fundraising, and communications. Bree has very strong administrative skills and experience, and she has made sustainable lifestyle choices that fit well with the Coalition. So at this time, I would like to introduce Bree Bendel. Bree?
Thank you, Annette, and hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I moved to Corvallis a little over 3 years ago, and I've been working as a supervisor in the healthcare workers' comp administration field. But I'm really excited to be getting started as the Coalition's new administrator. This organization does so much work that really aligns with my personal values and interests. So yeah, in my spare time, I will be found cycling around town. I'm a big bike advocate and also volunteering. I love doing outdoor events. So I've been heavily involved with restoration and reforestation efforts, as well as trail maintenance. So while Annette, as she mentioned, will be working more directly with the action teams on coalition projects, I'll be doing more of the behind the scenes work to make sure that I can support all of the great work going on here at the coalition. So I really look forward to meeting as many of you as possible in the next few months. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Bree. And we hope that we have shared with our audience, with you all during the past hour, that we have inspired some questions. And we would like to hear your questions now. So at this time, I'm going to ask all of our speakers to turn on their videos while I introduce the vice facilitator of the Sustainability Coalition, Brandon Trailstead. And Brandon was one of the co-founders of the coalition 16 years ago. My goodness. And he's been an important part of our leadership ever since. And Brandon is going to moderate the Q&A. So please send your questions his way. It looks like, I'm looking at the Q&A, it looks like there are already 9 questions down there. So let's keep them coming. Brandon, I am so happy to see you.
And sorry, I am glad to be here too. I'm getting over a cold as well. So as the panelists know, I've been struggling with account conflict between my OSU Zoom account and my coalition Zoom account, and I'm actually not able to see the questions. So my primary role was going to be moderating Q&A, but that's going to be pretty difficult because they're actually not showing up for me. So I am not sure. I'm trying to refresh, but using the browser makes it a little bit rough.
I will. Would you like me to read the question and then you can call on somebody to answer it?
Perhaps, yeah. And if it's more efficient for you just to call on folks, Annette, that works well for me as well. I'm gonna work on this and see if there's a way I can refresh and get that Q&A box to update, because that seems to be the issue right now.
Okay. All right, here's a really important question for you, Dave Eckert, from Andrea Norris. Are Bevalis t-shirts still available?
Well, the answer, we have 4 small t-shirts left. If I can get people to order up to 20 shirts, then I'll have some money. I can order some more because we have to put upfront money to order them. So we went through all but 4 and they're all small right now. So if anybody wants to order some, they're organic cotton and they're $20 a piece. And they're unique.
And they are also produced by a local business. All right, so here's an important question from Diane Arney, who wants to know, how do I share the recording of this meeting with others? The coalition will put the annual meeting on our website. It'll probably take us a few days to make that happen. And then I will also send out an email. So anybody who is on our main Google group, our sustainable-Corvallis at googlegroups.com, or our announcements Google group, will have access to the recording. So let's see. Oh my goodness, here's a long one. Let me.
It's for Brandon.
A long one for Brandon. All right, it says, I'm interested in getting solar panels and batteries. One of the biggest selling points is they produce no emissions, pollution free. However, I'm not sure if they're really green as we think they are. I have watched, read documentaries, articles. If we look at the full cycle, starting from mining raw materials to production, they create water and air pollution. Large numbers of unregulated mines use children as young as 7 as minors. Men, women, and children are working without even the most basic protective equipment. In addition, local people around mining areas are developing health issues. What are your thoughts on this? So I'm going to ask Brandon if he will weigh in, because he has probably been working in the solar field about as long as anybody, at least on this particular screen, I would guess. So Brandon, what are your thoughts?
So that's a really good question and consideration. I will say that I am certainly not an expert in this. I think one of the important strategies that I've advocated for end users to employ is maximizing the lifespan of the batteries that are already out there. So yes, I think in the coming decade, we're really going to face some serious supply chain issues with some of the components that go into batteries in particular. I think solar panels or solar modules don't necessarily face the same challenges with rare materials that are often extracted with exploitive methods. But for batteries and other storage technology, that is a consideration. I am, like I said, not completely up to speed on where to find the best and most current information, other than there are emerging technologies that rely less on some of those rare and extractive materials. So until we have a better sort of systemic and global solution, I think the strategy is to get the most you can out of existing batteries, and with lithium ion technology in particular, that means not charging it full and not letting it run empty and trying to run your devices and vehicles and other things sort of in the middle of their state of charge range. I think this is something that, as true cost accounting and life cycle assessment becomes more widely adopted in our supply chain, with energy systems in particular, we're going to learn a lot more about now. It's just kind of hard to get information out there. Solar Oregon is a great resource online for folks to learn a little bit more about this, and there are experts there, along with Oregon Solar Energy Association. I might be mixing up those words, but there's a couple of great resources based in Portland that will be able to connect you to better answers than I'm able to give today. And I still, just so you know, Annette, I am only seeing a couple of questions come through, so I'm unfortunately not able to read along.
Okay, well, thank you for that response. Appreciate it. And here's a question for Jeanette. Is Benton to Go ready to take more restaurants?
Yes, we definitely are. There are some restaurants it doesn't quite work with, like if they're not locally owned, they don't necessarily have decision-making power locally. But so if there's one that you have in mind that you would like to see Benton to Go, that you'd like to see become a participant of Benton to Go, just let me know. You can send me an email at togo@sustainablecorvallis, just TOGO @sustainablecorvallis.org, and give me your suggestion, or go on to the bentontogo.org website and find me there as well. And let us know who you're thinking of. In particular, though, if you want to tell them, that would really be helpful. Tell them that you would like them to participate. That way they're catching it from us when we call, and also from you as a customer.
Thank you, Jeanette. So here's a question for just about everybody who's on an action team. What are the challenges you've had so far for the past year? What challenges did you have in 2022? I mean, go ahead, Johanna.
I would just say, just kind of what we've seen all over the board, just a lot of rebuilding, I guess. Just a lot of people trying to get back active post-COVID. I mean, I know we're still living through COVID right now, but yeah, just rebuilding for sure. And getting people just kind of back involved to that same engagement level we had prior to COVID.
Thank you. Anybody else? David?
Our biggest project this year was supposed to be putting in a culvert, the stream culvert at Bald Hill. And because of supply chain issues, that was part of the problem in getting them, and the prices doubled. So the world global events really came down on us. We're hoping to do it in June, but again, it's been a big financial. We had all the money we needed for the culvert, and then all of a sudden we couldn't get it, and then the prices went up. So that's painful when you work so hard at raising funds and doing everything, and and it just can't do it at that time. So That's our biggest problem.
Yeah, Rachel.
For the education team, the problem has been that students are having a lot of problems post-COVID, socially, emotionally, and teachers are really overwhelmed just trying to get kids healed from that whole experience of being at home so long. So, so sadly for us, a lot of the green teams have gone on the back burner and teachers just don't have time right now to do an extra activity. So what we're doing this year is just trying to make really big plans for next year where we're going to try to make a unified curriculum across the entire district so that all kids at all schools are getting a consistent curriculum on education. So I guess we're kind of backing up and just saying, let's put our energy right now into curriculum development and then next year see if we can get back into a more active mode in the classrooms.
Thank you, Rachel. Anybody else want to respond to that question? Okay, let's see, what do we have next here? We have a lot of comments up here, but I am looking for questions. Let's see. I
can take one if you want.
Okay.
One that did come through that was partially addressed, I think. I'm going to try and see if I can make this visible to folks, but the question is that folks are concerned that installing solar panels on the roofs will damage shingles and make future replacement of roofs more expensive. How much is this true? Rob had shared in his experience, which is also mine, that the solar panels will typically outlast your roof. But I actually went through this in 2018. I had existing solar panels already installed on my roof. I worked with my solar contractor and roofer, and I don't have the sense that that added much cost, maybe a few $100s to remove not all of the components from the roof, all of the solar components from the roof, but just those necessary to be able to re-roof under it. And so it seems like it maybe is a bigger deal than it actually is, but it's something that your solar contractor and most roofing contractors are pretty used to doing. So I would expect minimal hassle from that.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Brandon. So I think here's another one back to Jeanette. It says, I recently read that you shouldn't put compostable bags in the yard debris container. Why is that, Jeanette?
It's a good question, Peter. Those are not breaking down at our regional compost facility. So if you do feel the need to use that bag in your countertop compost pail or whatever you're using, we recommend that you then take that out to your yard cart or your backyard garden, backyard compost, and just empty the bag and then toss the bag unless you can reuse it. It's simply not breaking down. And that is what Republic Services is asking us to do, is make sure people know, do not put these supposedly compostable items in there. Bags are a contaminant, but an even worse contaminant is compostable utensils, forks, spoons. They don't break down in this particular facility, even though it's state of the art. So just keep those out. Thank you.
But we do want your food waste, if you're not composting it at home, to put it in the yard debris cart. I think a lot of folks in Corvallis still may not know that they can put food waste in their yard debris cart.
That's a good point. It does say food, or it does say yard debris, but that does now include all food scraps, as if it's green. If it grows, it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So here's one that says there's a relatively new concept of embodied or embedded carbon, that is the carbon generated in the manufacturing of materials. I've heard it called embedded energy for years, but maybe that's a little bit different. This is most significant in building materials and construction. It touches into many of the strategy points of the coalition: energy, waste prevention, land use, etc. Do you have any suggestions as to how this concept can be introduced in the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition for awareness and action as appropriate? So ideas? Brandon, do you want to take that one again?
I was kind of hoping somebody else would unmute and address this because it's a great question. This may be the question of our lifetime in the future, because there is so much unaccounted carbon and energy and other materials that are part of the supply chain. We talked about batteries a few minutes ago. Supply chain full visibility is not something our economic systems are set up to provide us today. And that's the unfortunate reality, is we really aren't not measuring the emissions and other impacts from upstream and downstream of the products and materials we use. At OSU a few years ago, we did a rough assessment of our purchased goods and materials emissions, and we suspect that it would increase our reported emissions by about 50%. So I think one of the starting points is talking about it, making folks aware that the coalition is aware of this issue. And some of the easy steps that I would advocate for are things that fit into coalition programming really well already, like buying local, buying durable goods and materials that are able to be reprocessed, rebuilt, remanufactured. Even an ink cartridge, I have an old printer, and it's becoming harder and harder to find a place that will rebuild and refill the ink cartridge rather than buying new. And so through reuse and waste reduction, it does hit so many of our 12 action teams in various ways that really center on a local and cyclical economy. I don't know that there's one nice tidy answer, because it is such a sort of system and society-wide issue.
Well, and as you mentioned, it does touch on a lot of our different topic areas, land use, energy, waste prevention, and so on. Rob, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I agree with Brandon. It's a very difficult question to answer. And I think there's a framework for tracking that that is used by the city's sustainability report. And I think there's a report coming out later this year. So look for how they measure what I think is called level 1, level 2, and level 3 GHGs. And I think this is mostly where you find level 3. And that is a very difficult question. And I'm sure you'll be hearing more about that in the next decade.
All right, thank you. So it says, can you please provide more information on how I can donate my bottle return refunds to the coalition? And in addition to being co-leader of the Waste Prevention Action Team and part-time staff, Jeanette Hardison is on our development committee, our committee that focuses on fundraising. So Jeanette, I'm going to ask you if you will answer that one. Please provide more information on how you can contribute through the bottle drop program.
Thank you, John, for that question. I could have asked you to do that. It would have been a great favor to us. I just sent you an answer to that online, a link directly to our donate page with information about the bottle drop. You simply log into your bottle drop account and direct funds from your account to us. You can also request a pre-labeled blue bag, as Annette was mentioning, from one of our volunteers, and then fill and drop it off at the bottle drop location. Either way, your funds will be directed to the Sustainability Coalition. There are a number of people doing this. It is very successful, and we're super appreciative.
And if you want to know where to get those pre-labeled blue bags, please email me at info at sustainablecorvallis.org. And I will put you in touch with that volunteer. So we always like to honor everybody's time. There are a few more questions and a lot of really nice statements that people have included in the Q&A, but I see that it is 1:29 and we promised that we would conclude by 1:30. So I just want to thank you all so much for attending today's program. If you think there are good news items that you would like to share with others, I encourage you to be a member of our Google groups if you are not already, so that when the recording comes out, you'll be able to forward it to others. So again, thank you all so much for being part of today's program. And the sun is out. Go take a walk. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.